Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion that the agenda for the February 7th, 2023 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? So moved. Councilor Chouinard will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion that the minutes of the January 17th, 2023 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented? Councilor Bevan will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. We have no public hearings, but we do have a couple delegations this evening. And first of all, I'd like to welcome up here today from Pivotal Energy Partners, Mr. John Schwartz, Vice President of Business Development, and Oliver Sherwood, Business Development Specialist, regarding an exciting project for the Edson community.
We hope so. We hope so. Thank you. It should just be sailing up the airways there. Okay, thanks so much. Well, Mr. Mayor and Town Council, I really appreciate you guys' time today. A little bit nervous. It's the first time doing something like this, so please bear with me as I go through this. But in the interest of time, I'd like to give you a brief overview of who Pivotal Energy Partners is as a company, and talk about the project that we've selected to locate within the town boundaries should all the permitting and rezoning go through. Pivotal Energy Partners, we started in 2018, a group of individuals that was working at a larger company, stepped out on our own and started a company. And over the past 4 years, have spent time trying to target a market that was somewhat underserviced in terms of larger companies that were out there building large, massive facilities, and looking to target this little niche piece of the market that we thought we could build a company around. Spent the last 4 years developing the company, growing to over 30 employees today. That's not including our contractors, our field staff, or our fleet of lease operators that operate our transportation services. So in addition to building 9 facilities across Alberta and North Dakota, we've grown our transportation fleet to over 90 units, utilize it under lease operator, so contract operators in local communities that we operate in. Over the last 4 years, the majority of our time has been spent on looking at those smaller projects while we've been developing this larger project that we've been looking at. We've looked across the province, looked at probably over a dozen sites, done an in-depth review of them from a cost perspective, from a location to services, from a proximity to the rail, proximity to local oil and gas producers. And we've landed on a site that lands within your guys' town boundaries, which is the reason we're here tonight to talk about the project. In addition to that, we've obviously been very cognizant of the fact that we want to be stewards of the land, develop land that's been and looks to be developed as a heavy industrial part of the land, while making sure we don't have an impact in the community. What we want to do is have a positive impact in the community, inject some life into the community, and create some jobs around the town. So if we can go to the next site, I'll bear with me here a little bit. I'll jump a little bit back and forth in terms of what the processing facility does. From an overall perspective, I can explain to you that you think about a natural gas well that's drilled. Natural gas well is drilled in the ground. It produces a raw gas. A raw gas goes to a gas processing plant similar to the Repsol gas processing plant that's the west of your town. From there, the methane is stripped out. It goes into what's used to heat our homes, burn our gas stoves, and you're left with a mixture of the other gasoline products, which we call a C3 plus mix. So C3 plus is your propanes, your butanes, and your condensates. So what our plant is it's not new technology. It's a technology that's been used for a number of years, and it separates the products into the propane, butane, and condensates through a simple heating process. The parcel of land that we selected is just on the south end of your town. We've entered into an option to purchase with the current landholder. And there's a number of different parameters that came into looking at this site. Number one being the surrounding area, being a lot of industrial, light and heavy industrial use. And then the existing rail spur that comes off this CN main line. So there's some capital invested by the previous landowner to bring that site up to its current state. And what we're looking to do is hopefully get the rezoning approval done, followed by a development permit, followed by our AER application to get the project going. Over the last, this, like I said, like the 3 years that we've spent working on this project, we spent a number of dollars and a lot of our time looking at the sites and then going through the engineering process to get the facility to the point that it's at today, where we're really looking out at the exact location that we would put this facility on this parcel of land. There's a number of reasons why we like this parcel outside of the existing infrastructure that's there. There's ample room for our facility that we have as a plan today, as well as expansion beyond that should the market dictate, going beyond our 6,000 barrel a day that we're proposing to build today. Really, this is kind of the first steps of things. In your typical business development, you have an idea, you run your economics, things start to make sense. You go and you look for the land, you get to the next process, and then you enter into a regulatory phase. That's the real phase that we're in. Obviously, we want the town of Edson to be on board with a project similar to this or like this project for a number of reasons. We want to be good stewards of the land and obviously inject some economic drivers within the community. We're really willing to and open to contracting and hiring local individuals. It's really important to our business. During construction, there's going to be between an average of 42 contractors on site full time, with a peak of 60 during commissioning when activities are high. And then once the facility is up and running, we're between 15 and 20 full-time employees. And in addition to that, like I mentioned earlier, we have the Super B trailers that we will be using. So that's also super important to us in terms of safety. From a safety perspective, trucks entering our site will be ours, trucks exiting our site will be ours, along with our plant. So anything that's going away from the site is owned by Pivotal, and we'll treat it that way. And with our facility operating in the town, we want the truck drivers to be an extension of that as well. So where we see it is an injection of some economic development within the parcel of land that, given the previous development that was done to it, seems very fit for service for what we're looking to do. It's an exciting project for us. We were out there today checking out the site, so we're doing some geotechnical work on there today, inspecting the subsurface to understand the foundations a little bit better, to continue to refine our scope as we go here to make sure that the parcel land is fit for purpose. I can go through, I'm going to jump ahead one slide here just to explain to you guys. So this is again a little bit of a diagram. Natural gas well, you see them out in the field in farmers' fields. They flow through a pipeline into a processing plant. From that processing plant, it produces a C3 plus mix, which you often hear referred to as natural gas liquids. The natural gas liquids go into our plant. Now, the actual term for our plant is a fractionator. It has absolutely nothing to do with fracturing or fracking. It's a fractionation of the facility or of the different products into their specification projects. So you've got condensate, which is used for oil sands crude blending, which is out of Edmonton. You got butane that can be used for crude blending as well. And then propane used on the East Coast for heating homes, crop drying, which we would look to transport by rail and truck. Condensates and butanes on truck. And this image is just outlining our 3D drawings that we've formulated based on our current plans. As you can see, the rail spur to the south, we're looking to condense the facility into the most efficient place to have the plant that will allow for expansion. So if you look at the previous parcel, The line goes further down to the south, just to the south of the rail spur, so that would facilitate some expansion if we want to in the future. But this plot plan shows you the facility laid out in the location that we've selected today. Ample room for trucks turning around, great access on that sense, access off the CN main line for propane exports. And I was out there today, looked at it from Google Earth and was pleased with the segregation from the city and what it looks like in terms of height and what, the impact to the existing residents, impact to the existing members of the community. And that's really it in a nutshell. And I would love to open the floor to questions that anybody has. We can go through on a technical perspective. We've got a couple members from our technical team on the phone tonight if we get too in depth and outside of my ability to answer any questions. But again, thank you guys very much for your time today here tonight, and look forward to discussing the project further with you guys in the future.
All right, well, thank you very much for the presentation. We'll open the floor to questions. Council, do you have any questions or comments? Councillor Pacicci.
Yeah, through the chair to representative. So if I understand correctly, like you're not bringing a pipeline into here, is everything's trucked in?
At this moment, yes, we're in discussions with multiple parties for a pipeline coming in. We like that for two reasons. Provides flexibility around the trucks coming in. But yes, that is something we would look to do in the future, both from a fuel gas perspective, an egress perspective for condensates going out, and then an assurance of supply coming in by a pipeline. Any pipelines that we'd be looking to do wouldn't be very long. There's one that we're looking at that's like obviously looking at NDAs, but there's a 2 to 3 kilometer pipeline that we're looking really hard at right now in terms of construction.
Councillor Barr.
Thanks, through the chair to our presenter. Thank you for the presentation. There's lots of jobs like this around Edson, in the surrounding area. My question is, just with the way the parcel is set up, does the access and egress in the event of like an emergency response, would that be a challenge, or are there alternate ways out of the facility or ways to access the facility? Just a little bit narrow.
Yeah, that's absolutely a fair question. So as part of our regulatory process, we're going through the emergency response plan. That hasn't been fully developed. That's part of our planning. It's why we're going. Apologies, Mr. Mayor, I did that incorrectly.
That's
Mr.
okay.
Mayor,
That's fine.
to answer the question.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, the emergency response program is we're developing it right now as part of our ADR application, and we'll be able to provide that to council and then any external parties that would like to see that once we've completed that. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, yes, that's going on. It's a great question. But that's kind of part of the development stage that we're in right now, where we're evaluating the surface of the land, the subsurface of the land, egress out of the facility, as well as our ERP.
Councillor Moore.
Through the chair. When is your projected start?
Mr. Mayor, projected startup, sorry?
Yeah, when you're online.
Okay, so this kind of goes back to a conversation we were having earlier today. The NGL season, so if you remember that, that's a C3 plus, it works on a calendar schedule. So it's from April 1st to the following March. So because of that season, everybody that owns a molecule in the C3 plus business goes out and contracts it for the April season. So what our target in service date is April 1st, 2024. We would like to start construction in May or June of 23. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be fabricated off-site. Construction activities that are going to happen on site, we're targeting June, July.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor.
To the chair, you're gonna bring everything in by truck and that, and you're looking at Super Bs you're bringing in and that. So you're probably looking at around 20 Super Bs coming in a day for get you 6,000 barrels. And that, is that gonna be a concern with the railroad? They get tied up there. I've seen vehicles backed up for a mile at sometimes and that. How's that gonna hamper you guys or whatever? And if you want to go to 10,000 BPHs, you gotta have more trucks coming in south too and that.
Correct. Mr. Mayor, great question. Right now, that was really quick math. I understand you've been in the industry for a while, so that was great. The amount of loads that we have for 6,000 barrels a day is 18 loads a day. Fully understand the crossing with CN Rail. We're fully engaged with CN on getting all of their approvals that they require for that crossing, working through the logistics, building out our storage to allow for delays in trucks, and then have the amount of truck offload risers to facilitate any delays that happen at the rail crossing.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor, and then Councillor Pizicci.
Yeah, through the mayor to the presenter, thank you so much for the presentation and giving us this information tonight. This is an exciting project for our region, so offering seeing new business and new major business in town is exactly what we love to see. It obviously spurs more development. You mentioned, of course, the number of workers will be working on building the facility, and about 15 to 20 full-time employees once it's up and operational. Are you looking to hire locally, or is it from anywhere? Are they from your existing company? What are your plans there?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Taylor, great question. Today, as we sit today, we don't have any full-time employees on the operations side of that pivotal. So we are actually in the process right now of engaging with individuals. What's really key to us as we go through this development stages to get the 2 or 3 key individuals hired. We are looking local. We have interviews set up for next week. Probably I can't divulge names yet because there's people that have existing positions. But yes, those are the jobs that we're going to look to hire local. Obviously, if we're going to be engaged in the community, it's the best to have people that are living here, working here. And if need be, like, we will hire externally, but our first tranche of hiring is going to be internally. We'll be posting them in the newspaper, looking for local employees, looking for local contractors, looking for local suppliers, looking for the local tire shop to supply our trailers with tires. So those are the types of things that we're looking for. I mean, from an economic perspective, from our perspective, it makes a lot of sense having people here that we can hire skilled employees, skilled laborers. And then from a town perspective, obviously the benefits are there.
You said all the right things there. Thank you.
Councillor Pizicci.
Yeah, through the chair to our presenter. I'm just looking at your 3D drawings. And I see 3 large. I'm guessing 2 are not a stack, they're just a tall vessel, and then 1 looks like it may be a flare stack. Will this have like a burning flare?
So the flare stack's there for emergency purposes.
Yeah.
That would be only if there was no overpressure within the plant. It's not a continuous flare at all. It's literally for emergency purposes and will not be continuous.
Perfect. Councillor Ballard.
Through the chair, you said you guys have all your own tanks and that, eh? You don't run tractors with them? So you're looking at people coming with their own tractors to pull them?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, correct, Ms. Councillor Bevan. Yeah, we actually have one individual that's Edson resident that hauls for us today. Absolutely looking for truck drivers. There's a shortage of truck drivers across the province right now, so we are open to hiring any truck drivers that are out there.
Okay, now my other question was Councillor Precision asked, because my property is just
Yes, sir.
the west of your border, just pretty close to it, Nanny, and I was wondering about the flare stack was going to be continuous, or if you ever flare and you're going to throw up any cover gas with it, and the vapors coming off it, anything at all with that. So the prevailing wind usually comes my way, so.
Okay. Yeah,
Free skylights. The community will be fine. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation. Echo what was said here. We're pretty excited to see this. There's going to be some steps in the process, so we'll see how that goes along. But certainly, us being a natural gas community, we certainly see the benefits of this, and excited that you chose Edson as the place to do business, and look forward to working with you moving forward.
yeah, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and councillors, and specifically Clayton for helping us prepare for tonight. A little bit nervous, but thank you guys for all making us feel welcome. Appreciate the questions, and if anybody has any other questions, feel free to follow up with us by email.
The one question I did have, which I almost forgot to ask, was have you engaged any of the residences in the area? There's a couple of residents there and a couple other businesses. Have you chatted with them at all?
Absolutely. So as part of our rezoning application, and our AER notifications. Those will be going on. Mike Longway, who's on the phone for Mainline Services, who's going to be handling external stakeholder interactions. We're having a discussion today that, you know, we might be jumping too far ahead here, but Pivotal would like to host an open house outside of directly impacted residents to make sure the community is aware of what's going on, should everything be approved up to that stage, and have some time to talk about the project so that people see trucks going in and out during construction, and then during operation, they understand what the process is, what's happening, what it is and what it is not as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good idea, just to inform people. I think one of the questions asked here today, I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest concern is the truck traffic with the rail crossing there. We already have some issues at some certain times, so I'm glad that you already are aware of that and are looking forward to addressing that as you move forward. So, absolutely. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have another?
Just that's the chair. Do you have any business cards?
I do.
I'd like to get some if I could, please.
I will absolutely give you that. Thank you.
One for each. You're free to stay for the rest of the meeting if you like. Otherwise, we understand if you have other business that you'd like to attend to. So
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to our second presentation of the night, and continuing with positive economic news for the town of Edson, we have our manager of Community Futures West Hill Head, Miss Nancy Robbins, with us. Welcome to Edson, Nancy.
Oh, thank you for having me. Okay, thanks. Hello, everybody. Evening, happy new year, all those things. I'm really excited to share this report with you tonight. Am I on? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So as you're aware, Community Futures West Hill had partnered with the town of Edson to do a triage business retention and expansion project. This was carried out in the fall of 2022. We originally had planned to go into the field in September of 2022, but we went in October to give our businesses in the West a bit of a break from the Channel fire and the power outages. So we were a little bit later than we expected, but overall, I think it went very well. I'm not going to go over the methodology too much. It's pretty well explained by the consultant, but what you can pretty much say is that this is a randomly selected for our small businesses in Edson, and the data is representative of the entire business community. It's no surprise, I don't think, that 12% of our businesses in Edson are externally owned and operated, with 88% being local people. And this next slide, I really want you to pay attention to, because this is the age of your business community. So really, this is your tax base of your business community here. And you're going to see that the majority of the businesses are 6 to 10 or more than 10 years. So what that tells us is that, and this is the same over the entire region, is that our business community are really aging. So our goal is to make sure that we have good succession planning, coaching, and training in place, because we want people to sell those businesses and keep them in our communities and not walk away from them. And also, you're less than 1%, those 11% is your startup rate, your startups in your community. And Edson had a really great turnout in the less than 1%. So entrepreneurship is alive and well in Edson. This one here is an interesting slide, because what it tells us is it looks at whether people rent or own the businesses. And the important thing to look at in this one is really that less than 1 year when a lease is going to expire, and that month to month being 32%. This is a big red flag for us, because these are the people that don't have stable businesses. Our goal is to try to move them from their lease expiring into 1 to 3 years or longer, so they have a more stable, they're able to work more with their cash flow, and also to move from that month to month lease. So again, it's that feeling of stability. So this is another thing that we'll really be looking at in the next year at Community Futures, on making sure people know how to negotiate a lease and how people understand how to move forward to get a more solid lease with their landlords. In terms of business performance, what you want to see in these indicators is everything remaining the same or increasing. And this is a really positive slide because, of course, this is what you see. So heading into the next 12 months is a really important time for businesses. We're transitioning out of the pandemic, but we're heading into a year where it's really a lot of uncertainty. We have a lot of global events, we have supply chain issues, we have a possible recession that we're pretty much going to hear that we're probably already in. And then also too, all our businesses most of them have pandemic debt. So we really wanted to see that things are going to remain the same or even increase. And in Edson, we are seeing this. So people are they're feeling really positive about the next 12 months. And also too, that their revenues, they're hoping they're going to remain the same or they're going to increase. And they're expecting that their revenues are going to remain the same and increase. So you see, in terms of all those indicators together, that we're on a really increasing trend in Edson. So we're at a positive, we're in between stable and expanding, which is where we want to be. And this again is mirrored in the entire region. We're really seeing some positive growth in the West Yellowhead and an increasing trend in our business communities. Our net performer score is really the ability for a business to recommend the municipality if it's your attraction, okay, and it's your branding. So we want to see a positive score in this one, and we want to see it to be moving forward towards people really wanting to promote Edson as a place to have their business. And so you can see that the majority of our people in Edson are either promoters, which means they're really great about promoting your community, and you are a positive 29%. So to put this in perspective, when we look at all the regional data is 16%. So Edson's knocking it out of the park. So right now is a great time to do an attraction campaign for Edson. You have a really positive business community. They're really promoting your community. They're really saying positive things about it. And there's nowhere to go but up, if you ask me. Key performance indicators. Again, really positive result. People are very satisfied in the town of Edson and operating and owning a business. We have a 93% satisfaction rate on these indicators. And then when we look at the satisfaction levels, the basics of running a business in Edson are really high. So there's available property, there's good internet, there's cell phone service, there's zoning. Even though zoning is one of our priority areas, you'll see in a minute. The basics for people to start up a business in Edson are there. So it's a very high satisfaction rate. Derived importance and priority matrix is what this consultant that we hired is really good at. And what this says is it takes all the data that they've gathered from all the businesses and puts them together, and then gives us a snapshot of where we should be going in the next 12 to 18 months so that we know where to focus on the issues to support our business community. And so when we look at Edson, we see that the top 7 are really what we should be looking at. So municipal property taxes, the availability of funding programs for business and property improvement, development business permit processes, affordability of commercial space, availability of skilled labor, zoning, existing road network. Those are the issues that are highlighted that the businesses want us to pay attention to. Now, some of these things are completely municipal. As Community Futures, I'm not about to start talking to you about your municipal taxes. Frankly, I'm not going there. But I think some of these issues are really great for us to work in partnership on. Some of them are strictly municipal issues. And sometimes when you see something like municipal property taxes being high on the list, it's not that your municipal property taxes are out of line. It may just be that the communication's off, or that there's an opportunity to present it in a different fashion to help your business community understand it. The biggest one, of course, that we're seeing in all our communities that we work with is the availability of skilled labor. It's #1 in the region. It has shown up in all our communities that we're working with. The absence of that a level up of labor that we need in our communities is not there. We're really seeing a big gap in that in the West Yellowhead. And I think coming out of the pandemic, it's where we need to focus on supporting our small businesses the most. And in terms of community health, I'll leave you this slide to end. The national 5-year average on a healthy business community is 753. Edson is above average at 755. We have really great revenues happening in our community, really positive business attitude. Community is being recommended by your business community as a place to live, work, and play. Things that we need to work on a little bit is maybe, our business policies. We need to look at that skilled labor issue. We need to kind of look at the little things to make life better, a little bit better for our business community. So I find this report very positive, very happy to see at this point in the pandemic where we are moving forward over the next two years where we are, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Nancy, for your presentation and for all your hard work on helping our business community. And I think yourself, along with bringing Kundi on board, is very positive. And I think
Yes.
we're going to see some of those numbers even change further, because I know Kundi has been very active in the community.
Yes.
Been a very positive response as well. So,
Yes.
council, any questions, comments? Councilor Moore.
Thanks for the chair, Nancy. In your opinion, what are some ways the area could attract more skilled labor?
A couple of things. I'm glad you asked me that question because I was just asked that in Hinton about 3 hours ago. So I got a good answer. When we look at a lot of what the businesses are saying is that we have a gap in terms of the ability to offer really good training. And we're seeing that not some, I think what they're trying to express is they want more post-secondary education, but by that, I think they mean like micro-credentials. So courses that they can use the Canada Alberta Job Grant for that can improve their business, but at the same time invest in their employees. So things that help with retention, things that really can help the business grow, but at the same time bring in like upskill that labor force that we already have. And I think that will really help. And I think we need to acknowledge that work is completely different now than it was 3 years ago. And for some of us, it's harder to catch up. I'll be one of those people that, we have to deal with like remote work and different needs of the employees. And I think we need to start changing the way that we look at things. And I think that might help a lot. Mm-hmm.
All right, anybody else? Councilor Sharp.
Through the chair to Nancy, and it's actually nice to see you in person instead of zooming. I was just questioning where you said business is more than 10 years.
Yes.
That would be a negative. I'd look at it positive. We have some businesses been in business for almost 100 years. So if you've been in business for more than 10 years, you've dug in your roots as a concrete business.
I think you misunderstood me. Maybe
I might have misunderstood.
yeah,
what
I
you said.
may not have presented it correctly. I don't think it's a negative. I do think it's a positive.
Yeah.
But our job is to help with succession planning for those businesses, because when the time comes for those people that want to sell their business or want to walk away from their business, we want them to keep that business in the community. So we want to help them sell it. So if we give them the tools and help them with those tools, then that business will stay in our community and they won't close their doors and walk away. So that's the toolkit that we need to give them.
Good. Thanks for my clarification.
Yeah.
Councilor Bennett.
Through the chair to Nancy. I did hear about this before, and you guys are all phoning that has been wandering around. That's very good. Thank you very much. But I was wondering, and I've been asked this before, is that businesses that are going to close in say less than a year or 2 years in that, has it ever come up when you guys are asking your questions about rental? How much was it they're renting it for or paying?
Yes.
Where there's a concern that they were way too high, that they couldn't afford it because it was so high.
And that's why I brought up the leases that expire in a year and the month-to-month rentals. So those are what we would call red flag businesses. We should be concerned about that, because when they go to negotiate their lease, the rent may be too high for them to continue with their business. And so it is a concern. I cannot say that rent is more or less than other communities because I don't know. And it's one of the things I would like to do is actually talk to realtors in our communities and say, well, what's the problem? Is it that the space doesn't work? Is it too much? Is it not in the right location? Do they need to paint it? Like, is it bad buildings? Like what exactly is that issue? That's the problem. But yes, we have a number of businesses that I am concerned about because they're in that precarious situation. And I've seen that a lot with clients that, you know, their lease has come up. They go to renegotiate and the demands of the lease are not something that works for their business. And it is a concern. It's a big concern. Mhm.
I know as I've wandered around, talked to new businesses that come into town and, you know, just ask them how, you know, the town services were to them. You know, if our development department was available, if they got all the information that, and I did ask them one of these and they said that if we can't negotiate on that, say our rent is $5,000 a month, that's 60 grand a year, then we've got to pay utilities on top of it. He says, we're looking at $70,000 before we even open our doors or the.
Yeah.
We may be able to go a year if we're lucky that, then we're gonna close down, so. Some of these people just don't wanna negotiate.
And that's one of the
Landlords.
things that I would like to do in the next year is to have some training sessions on. What is your lease supposed to look like?
Yeah.
How do you negotiate a lease? When do you become aggressive with your landlord or when do you back? Like, and have those conversations to give people more tools in the toolkit to help them with that exact thing, you know, to say, okay, this lease is no good, this is what I want. And it's hard, it's a hard thing to do, is to negotiate a lease. So yes, we're fully aware that rental is, we're seeing it in all our communities that this is an issue. We just need to focus a little bit more on it and start talking more about it.
Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to Nancy, thank you for the presentation. Great, some great positive notes in there.
It's very
too.
positive, yes.
And also some things that I think that also council has to look at and look ourselves in the mirror about what we're doing as well and how we can assist in our community. And it's good we have this information in front of us to make those decisions. And so spinning off of what Councillor Bevan was asking and talking about, when we see businesses closing or sort of leases expire in less than a year and being in a volatile state. Are those relatively new businesses typically, or are they some of the longer term businesses that, you know, is there a certain trend on that aspect?
That is a very good question, and I'm going to have to look at the data to get that back, answer that one. So can I get back to you on that? That's a really good question. I'm wondering that myself too.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mhm.
Council, any other questions or comments? Through you, Nancy, just going through your report here and the folks that responded. So if I drill down in the data and you look at the negative score that we received, that only represents one business or one comment if I'm reading the numbers correctly. So I think it speaks to like you said, we have a lot of promoters in our community.
We do.
And I don't want to not value the comments of some of the I guess more criticism towards our business community and our community in general. But I think we also have to weigh that about, you know, exactly how many responses that is overall. I think there's what I hear from businesses more often than not is definitely the skilled labor piece is a huge challenge right now. It doesn't matter if you're looking at entry level jobs or something more skilled, it's really hard to find people. And to what Councillor Bevan said, the expectations on what leases should be or what are being asked is out of whack with reality, I think, where you're charging high rents for a building that is not in a condition to be rented at that type of price. And I think that's what we're seeing with some of the buildings, because we hear these comments often. Downtown is dying and there's so much vacancy. It's always the same buildings that are vacant. So then you have to look at those buildings and see, okay, there has been no upgrades. There has been no investment. Many of the those property owners don't live in town anymore, who probably don't have as much vested as some of the other property owners who actually live here in Faribault. So I think it's all things that we need to talk about and consider as we talk about economic development and what we can do to encourage investment in some of those properties as well. I do notice that in here it talks about, supporting businesses and programs in place, and we have certainly put some things in place. So hopefully we'll see that grow, and as awareness builds with your help, hopefully some of those indicators will change as well.
And you have a great person working for you. I can't speak enough about how wonderful could do this in his job. And I read your strategic plan. I'm really excited to see your economic development strategy too. So it's good. It's really good.
Councillor Barr.
Thanks, through the chair to Ms. Robbins. Thank you for the report. And we did discuss this a little bit in quite a bit more detail in about an hour and a half instead of the 10 or 15 minutes here. One of the discussions we had was on that availability of skilled labor, and it was kind of interesting how we got to where we are. Edson already had a very low intake of post-secondary, was a part of that discussion, and then following that, we also lost the Grand Prairie Regional College in our community right when the pandemic hit, and so we're kind of challenged with some of those courses. I know we did make some comments that maybe we our region doesn't quite have the coverage of post-secondary that it should. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that issue?
Sure. Yes, thank you for asking that. We are hearing from businesses that there's a need. I think there's a big range in skill development, from like the basic learning to excel to getting a post-secondary degree, and we're missing that middle piece where there's a lot of interest in what's called micro credentials. And the great example that I gave when I was talking to people about this in Edson was Jasper did a sommelier course that was 24 seats, filled the 24 seats, had a wait list, now was bringing back the course. And it really appealed to business owners because you could get the Canada Alberta Job Grant. And also it was a skill that their businesses needed, but also they were invested in their employees. So it's a retention tool as well. And also then you're building more skilled labor. And so we're seeing a real absence of that in the West Yellowhead. I think we need to, and I don't usually lobby or say this kind of thing, but I'm going to say it. I think we need to put a little bit more pressure on our provincial government and ask them why the West Yellowhead does not have that level of service to provide our youth and our businesses with that level of training. We seem to have a big gap in the West Yellowhead, and we're seeing it in every community that our businesses are asking for more, and we're not able to provide it because we don't have a service provider to offer it. So it's something that we've been fully aware of at Community Futures. We're going to start to ask a few questions and see what we can bring in, and actually on our business walks in the spring, we want to talk to businesses more about just this, because we want to say, okay, what exactly do you need? I don't want to hear customer service or any of that. What does your employee need? And what can we bring in to help you more to retain your employees, to keep them, to upskill them, to give them more? So it works for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Just further on that, I know GPRC under their new name is still the service provider for our region. I think that was a huge blow to our community with no notice. It was like a midnight move. And we were just there celebrating their anniversary. And it was busy. There were a lot of people that were getting upgrading. It was a great way to earn those skills and learn. And they went up and just gone, just like night and day. And so I think maybe one of the things that we need to do and talk about as councils as part of our strategic priorities is engaging with them and seeing what we can do to maybe bring some of that stuff back and how that would look. I know they're not interested in a physical campus anymore, which I think is unfortunate because I think there's still a need for that. But I think we need to work with the regional partners. This impacted Jasper and Hinton as well. So.
And that was number one on the list for Hinton for their report, was that absence of post-secondary. So we're really, and in Grant Cash as well, we're really seeing that is something our business owners want for it's a retention tool too. Yeah. And so it's just one thing to make that employee stay another year or stay another 6 months. So
Councillor Short.
Through the chair to Nancy, going back to the rent, so I guess when people complain the rent is too high, we're giving them the option, say, if you purchased and built. Because a lot of the businesses, like you said, 1 to 5 years new, so they'd be typically renting short term. So when a person comes in and says, you know, this building is, I'm paying too much, so are we showing them if you own the building, so maybe you could encourage them to say, you know, depending what their cost of rent, because everyone thinks rent is too high. So say if you built a building this size, this is what it would cost you.
We don't coach that particularly. What we would coach is that, okay, let's have a look at your cash flow and let's
Right,
talk
yeah.
about what your expenses are and examine it through that route. Like what's your revenue, what's your expenses, maybe it's your cost of your product, what are different ways that we can get more income for you. I really don't coach people to build buildings. So it is an option, I guess, but I think we need to look at the demographics of who our startups are, and they tend to be people that are first time in the business community. They don't have a lot of capital, and that's a big thing to ask of them. I go more on the cash flow coaching. When we get that quite a bit, especially in the last 6 to 8 months in the pandemic, everyone is focused on their cash flow. We're talking about that more than ever before. And so rent is one of those things that is a cash flow issue. You've got to make enough money to pay your rent and keep the lights on.
Well, what I was getting to like that, so I agree the first year, but they're a 5-year business, they come into you and say, hey, rent's high. So at that time, you'd say, have you looked at the option? Like someone could say, if you build it cost you, and you're encouraging them, if they build the building, they're probably not planning on closing tomorrow.
We don't usually make those kind of suggestions. We would wait them to make that suggestion to us. Like we don't tell, but it is an option, I guess, to build. But I mean, when there's so much space available, there's other options as well.
Okay, thanks, Nancy.
Well, if we have no further questions, thank you very much for your presentation, your work on this. And likewise, you feel free to stay, or if you'd like to enjoy your night in Edson tonight.
Enjoy my night in Edson.
We have beautiful hotels,
Restaurants.
coffee shops.
Yes.
All right, we have no reading of bylaws, reports from administration. Any motion that council accept administration's report on the traffic bylaw modernization project for information. Councillor Moore will make that motion, and we will ask Mr. Tyler Robinson, Senior Manager of Protective Services, to present to us this evening. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you very much. Good to be here once again. So here to just briefly talk about the traffic bylaw modernization project. It was originally passed in 1995. Over the years, there's been 9 different amendments to it, 8 of which are still in effect today. And in addition to that, there's several bylaws that are directly related to traffic safety, such as the green light bylaw, as well as the off-highway vehicle bylaw, that should be part of the traffic safety. This complicates enforcement and interpretation of the legal framework around the traffic safety and undermines the transparency and clarity to the public. The goal of the traffic safety bylaw modernization project is therefore to review, update, modernize and consolidate all bylaws related to traffic safety to create one single bylaw that's all inclusive. Process will involve a review of the existing legislative framework and comparable municipality bylaws, as well as internal consultations with the infrastructure and planning group. The intention of this report is to advise council of this project and solicit any feedback regarding principles council may have relating to the local traffic safety and updating of the bylaw. So we align with our strategic plan by creating a connected community that is safe and inclusive. The traffic bylaw is essential to ensuring safe and orderly traffic flow within the town of Edson, as well as providing effective leadership and community engagement. This project aims to foster a robust policy and bylaw framework, ensuring that bylaws are current and easily understood by the public. There are no financial implications with this project. Although this report states there is no public or stakeholder engagement, as mentioned, we will engage with internal consultation with our infrastructure and planning, as well as circulate a draft copy once complete to the local RCMP for input and feedback. Some potential alternatives would be to leave the current bylaw and other bylaws related to traffic safety as they are, We could update and modernize only traffic bylaw 1807, which is the traffic safety bylaw, leaving remaining traffic related bylaws as they are. Or council could provide any other direction to administration they see fit. And I am open to any questions or feedback anyone may have.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Councilor Schnarr.
The mayor through to Tyler. On the off-highway bylaw, that's been talked about several times, and each time was, let's say, people snowmobiling. So at one time, the bylaw reads, so instead of you zipping down the road, you live there, that we would allow them to drive out, drive to the thing. Is that going to review? Because the snowmobile club approached us several years ago and we would monitor it. So that one is of interest to me. So people wanted to ATV, whatever from town. So how does the bylaw read and how would we change that to maybe adapt to those situations?
I can't, thank you, sorry, through
That's
the
okay.
chair to Councillor Bernard, I can't specifically say how the off-highway vehicle bylaw currently reads.
Right.
The intent of tonight is to advise you of the project that we're trying to consolidate and update all bylaws related to traffic safety.
If that's one of interest, so.
For sure, and it's one of interest for us as well.
Yeah, so when your report comes, I look forward to reading it.
All right, council, any other questions? Councilor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to Tyler, thank you for the update. Without sort of reading the bylaws, can you give an example of a part that is sort of complicated or offer some confusion, whether it be an enforcement or interpretation of that?
Yeah, through the mayor. Yeah, thank you for that. Like I said, there's 8 amendments currently that are in force in addition to the one bylaw. So a twofold, one for the general public to try to interpret a bylaw that has 8 separate amendments is very difficult to do. The other thing from the enforcement side, when we have a peace officer and looking through a bylaw and it says, well, for a horse-drawn carriage to run downtown, they might have a hitching post outside your business.
True story.
Maybe we shouldn't have that bylaw in effect anymore.
It's good to have a
Okay,
backup plan,
amended
but
it, so
okay,
that's
all
all
right.
right.
That is certainly an
It's
example.
very outdated.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
The way things are going, this might actually be needed. in the
Yeah.
future. Councilor Byer.
Thanks, through the chair to Tyler. Thanks for bringing this forward. Just briefing through some of them. It's easy to see that, you know, some updates might be required, especially the way we drive differently on different routes and their arteries are maybe different than they were in 1985. Great idea to bring this forward. Regarding the consultation, is there planning on being like a public open house to this or just bring it back to council and discussing it at that point?
So thank you through the mayor to Councillor Byer. I'll echo the answer. The intent of this presentation was just simply to update you that we are looking through and modernizing everything related to the traffic safety bylaw. So very difficult to answer as we haven't got into the meat and potatoes yet, but we want to look at all amendments, all bylaws related to traffic safety and try to make one consolidation.
Anybody else? Yeah. Go ahead, Councilor Pacific.
Yeah, through the mayor to Tyler. Are we doing the review internally or are we looking to hire consultants for this?
This will be internally, sorry, geez,
Go ahead.
point of order, right? Through the mayor to councillor position. Right now, we have a working group in the Protective Services Department that's working very hard, section by section, to revise, revisit, and try to modernize each section. So the answer to your question is initially we're going to remain in-house with that project up until we have some sort of draft. And like I said before, it's really to ensure that we're modernizing, we're eliminating things that just simply aren't pertinent anymore. And we're including other bylaws that shouldn't be separate from traffic safety.
Great, thank you, Councilor Moore.
Through the mayor to Tyler. Are we looking at other municipalities, the same size that have bylaws as well?
Yes, through the chair, as mentioned in the report, we are looking at comparable municipalities.
Great, thank you. My only comment would be under this, you know, that Leduc recently passed a catalytic converter bylaw in order to find people that were stealing catalytic converters. I would suggest that we look at that as well as a part of that. I don't know if that would be separate or if that would be a part of the traffic safety bylaw, but as we see municipalities and different organizations put these things in place, it's gonna push the problem out further. I know we haven't seen a big problem here in our community as of yet, but forward thinking, I think that's something we need to consider. With the traffic bylaw, does that include hours of parking and things of that nature? For example, in the downtown, I know we have some concerns with some business owners about extended parking currently on Main Street.
100%, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we are currently dealing with some traffic related complaints directly related to parking in the downtown core. And that will be a part of the traffic bylaw.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Mr. Robinson, do you require anything else from us at this point? Any questions you need to ask of us?
Not unless you have, if this is the direction and the wish of council, then we will proceed and maintain steady course forward.
Sounds good. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. And moving on to item 2, direct control district permit application delegation authority. We have some materials being handed out. Okay. So before we get you to present, we'll just get a motion here. Can I get somebody to please make a motion that council delegate the decision-making authority for development permit number 005-2023, the development officer for the demolition of a building on direct control lot 7, block 2, plan 832-2191. Councillor Byron will make that motion. Mr. Kittlitz, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So yeah, sorry for the late add-on with this, Mr. Mayor, council. We had an application received on the 27th of January for a property at 6424 17th Ave. It's a direct control district, and as council knows, direct control districts delegate council as the authority on permits. In this case, it's a demolition permit. So administration, in the interest of maybe making the process a bit speedier for the applicant, we thought we maybe could ask council to delegate that authority for this particular permit to the development officer. It's basically just in the interest of speeding up the process. It's not a very complex permit. The house actually is damaged as a result of fire, so it actually does need to be demolished. So that's really what this is for.
All right, council, any questions? Comments, concerns? Everybody, a few minutes to familiarize yourselves with material.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Kittlitz, I'll throw a question to you. So, how will this speed up the process for the applicant?
Well, in the case of a direct control district where council is the authority, that permit does have to come back to regular council meeting for council to render a decision on. In this case, we'd be probably looking at the February 21st meeting is probably the closest we could bring that back. If we're allowed to have the authority from council to do this administratively, we would probably turn around the permit by the end of the week or early next week. So it saves a couple of weeks for sure. The applicant at the time did express some displeasure that they have to wait a bit longer to get that approval. So this was our attempt to try to speed up the process a little bit. And given it's a demolition, will be not a development.
And this was applied for on January 27th?
Correct.
That's correct. I have no concerns with this, having dealt with some issues with demolition in our community. I'm happy to give this authority, see this process quickly. So, council, if you have any concerns? Seeing that, I hope Councilor Bevan.
I don't have any concern with this. I know that we can make things easier for our residents here and that. It's a great thing to do. Why time up when we don't have to? We've tied up some other places, future times, past times and that. So this is, I'm fully supported.
Go ahead.
I guess, Mr. Mayor, could I could just share another supplemental in terms of the fact that we're doing a new land use bylaw. One of the things that we are hoping to do with that is in this direct control district, we'll probably add a couple of exceptions where the development authority can be the administration just off the bat, rather build it right into the bylaw. A demolition permit might be a great example of that. Maybe sheds or accessory buildings in a direct control. Some of those smaller, lighter permits that really don't have a big impact, we might try to build that right into the bylaw. Again, to address Councillor Bevan's point about making it a bit more of an easy process for our applicants.
And I think the key point too is, the challenges that I've seen with the demolition permits is that these are often buildings that have been destroyed or by fire. And it's been a cumbersome process sometimes, and it doesn't need to be. You don't want to see those buildings standing anymore. They create other hazards, so. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion that council accept the February 7th, 2023 information items as set out in attachments 1 to 6 for information? Councillor Pisichny will make that motion. Any questions or comments? I think that as you look at the stats here, I'll just make a general comment. It's great to see that we are seeing some positive impacts in regards to our crime levels in our community that are decreasing. Criminal code offenses are pretty stable, but we've seen a 17% decrease in property crime over 2021. So that's positive. You will see there just for to give some background information on the other criminal code offenses. You'll see a large increase in that. That mostly has to do with warrants that have been issued before during COVID. They weren't reaching people for missing their court dates and things of that. So that's now in place. So that's increased those numbers substantially. But overall, we're seeing, I think, some positive trends here in our communities. So, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the mayor to council administration. Also impressed seeing the way the RCP is out in the community. You see the stats on the reports here of their engagement, whether it is going to the schools or I know today they're at Pioneer Cabin. Right? So they're out in the community. I know they've come to our school at any call we've asked. So it's great to see that connection and engagement, and let's see that continue, because it's the public then realize they have people that are listening at the RCP office and listening to their concerns and are making changes in response to the needs of the community. So just like to see that continue.
All right. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. We have no sundry item council committee reports. We are going back to January the 18th, and we will start today with Councillor Byron.
Okay. On January 19th, I had a community concerns West Arrowhead board meeting. Nancy talked about the survey that we went over, and we went over the group results as well. I sent you guys all the report on the other communities already. And we made a decision to increase the interest rates at Community Futures. They are generally a little bit higher than the bank's rate, and interest rates have changed significantly over the past year. So we made a change on that. So the interest rates will be 8% or prime plus 2%, whatever is greater. So that change is coming down. And then on January 26th, we had a quick multiplex steering committee, just kind of members information meeting. February 7th, that was today. I attended the town hall at the Pioneer Cabin, and then following that, the economic corridor meeting with MLA Edson on the transportation corridor. I was 16.
All right, thank you, Councillor Pisichny.
26th, it's County Center Steering Committee meeting on the 26th of January, and the 6th I had the youth council meeting.
Okay. Councillor Moore.
Thank you. January 19th, I attended the West Yellowhead Community Futures meeting. January 23rd, the West Fraser PAC meeting. And as well, January 23rd, I welcomed the new grader along with a group of us. And I wondered at the time if we break a bottle of champagne over the grader, but I was told no. And
Bourbon, told you. Bourbon. You put a scratch in it.
Put a scratch in it, yeah, we want to do that. Anyway, we're glad the new grader's here and it's been doing yeoman work in town. February 7th, I attended the Pioneer Cabin soup and sandwich luncheon today. Great presentation about the statistics, crime statistics in Edson, and RCMP are doing a great job. Meeting this afternoon with MLA Getson on the Highway 16 corridor at council chambers, and a lot of exciting things coming our way.
Councillor Bevan.
January 23rd, had a meeting with the West Fraser Public Advisory Board. I don't know what to say about it, so. And also today with MLA Shane Getson.
All right, thank you, Councillor Schnarr.
January 20th, we had our Trans-Canada meeting. A lot of our discussion was, we have an upcoming meeting with Transportation Minister in person, February 21st, to discuss Edson. Whereas the Alberta rep will be attending the meeting. On the 23rd, I offered Councillor Moore my bottle of bourbon, but he didn't want to break it on the grader, but I also attended that. And today, the 7th, is the economic authority meeting.
Councillor Taylor.
I guess I'll go kind of backwards in mine. Today, yes, I attended the meeting with MLA Getson. Yesterday, attended a youth council meeting where they solidified plans for the Bring Back the Mayor for a Day program. And they also had some other ideas in terms of working with the vulnerable members in our community, and those ideas are pushed out at the next meeting. And I did attend the opening of the grader, photo op of the grader. And on January 31st, attended the library board meeting where, of course, I think we all know about the great news that the library received the CFAP grant, $1 million from the province. So this is great. Between the province, the town, and the county, we have just over $2.5 million for the renovation expansion project. Lots of work to be happening over the next little while. I'm sorry, Mr. Beck, that is a lot of work, but it's going to be exciting work, and we look forward to seeing what happens there. So.
All right, for me on January 20th, I had a phone call with our new liaison with CN Rail to talk about rail advocacy and some of the challenges here locally, and really pleased that our new rep is actually started her career in Edson, and CN is working on the rail line here, so she's very familiar with the community, and looking forward to a positive relationship with them. And we've seen our presentation here today that's also on CN property, so that's awesome. January 24th, regional homelessness meeting with mayors from Northern Alberta. Once again, same situation everywhere, and we're talking about more regional advocacy from rural communities, in particular at Alberta municipalities, to ensure that rural communities don't get left out of the conversation. January 25th, we had a Community Rail Advocacy Alliance meeting. We discussed our strategies moving forward, and then that evening I joined the youth council at the food bank, which was really good. On January 26th, the multiplex meeting, and then today with MLA Getson talking about economic corridors and the condition of Highway 16, and also attended the photo op with the grader, which has been doing great work in our community. So with that, we will move on. We have no financial items. Questions from media and public regarding items from this council meeting? Steve, do we have anybody online? Or should we have Nikki on the line? Nikki, do you have any questions?
I do actually have a question. Regarding the gas processing facility in Edson, just a clarification for me. So the facility, is it approved and coming to Edson, or are we still in the early stages and we're not entirely sure if it'll be here or not?
We're still in the early stages. There's rezoning that needs to occur on the municipal level, plus a number of provincial processes through the Alberta energy regulators. So it's a proposed project at this point, but as you heard from the presentation, they do want to see construction starting soon.
Perfect, thank you. That's all.
Did I get that right? I hope I got that right. All right, with that, I will call the question, motion to go in camera. Counselor Taylor, all those in favor? Motion carried. All right, thank you, everyone. Can I get a motion for adjournment? Counselor Bernard, all those in favor? Motion carried.